Oh, it's awesome. I've never, had this much support at any golf tournament, and so I never knew it would be this awesome to, feel the crowd out there and get it done in that fashion.
Earlier, you were talking about trusting the process. What has that been like after you captured your first victory and had a little bit of lull, battling some illnesses, but to be back in the winner's circle so soon?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge. After your first win, there's, I'd say a lot of expectations that come about. Unfortunately, I dealt with a lot of, random sicknesses that hit me and pulled me out of a few tournaments I really wanted to play. And even more so, I just really had to trust what I had been doing before. And, and now we're here. It's just wild.
Brian, I was talking to Kelsey about you being a poster child for perseverance. You talk about earning your card a decade ago, losing it in 2017, relegated to the Korn Ferry Tour, the injuries, the illnesses, getting it back 2 years ago, winning this year. What does it mean?
It means everything. This is what I've worked my entire life to be in this position, and unfortunately we had a couple years there where it wasn't looking so good. You have to start thinking about, am I going to do something else? Maybe pro golf or this route's not going to work out, but it really was all at second stage Q school. About 2 or 3 years ago, I made like a quintuple bogey on a par 3, and I thought my career was over in that moment. And that night just kind of had a self-talk with myself and said, you know what, whatever happens is okay. Trust yourself. And next round I went out there and shot 8 under and got myself right back in there. And I guess I was like, maybe golf's not over for me. And that moment was when everything changed.
Well, not unlike the J.J. Spawn story. Feast or famine for Brian Campbell. He missed 7 cuts, withdrawn twice. Nothing better than 32nd, except for the 2 wins. So right course, right tournament. He has shown if he gets a sniff, he can win. Calling card his accuracy, and he's a pretty good putter. 2 wins for a guy who's 172nd strokes gained off the tee. 174 driving distance at 276 yards per pop. That is unusual. It's a matter of timing, a little bit of luck. That ball bouncing off the tree in Mexico and making the most of your chances. I will say he has to improve his performance off the tee if he hopes to have staying power. T. Lou, I think there are probably 100 guys you've never heard of playing professional golf that think they're the next Brian Campbell, who've had a Brian Campbell experience, injuries, nearly gave it up, but they stay with it knowing that that's possible. With one tweak, find a new putter, maybe a new swing thought, and it all changes. And that's why I said I think we heard a similar story with J.J. Spawn, who just won the U.S. Open. They all believe somewhere in their heart of hearts, I'm the next Spawn, I'm the next Brian Campbell.
But you know what's interesting is that even when their cage is getting rattled and doubt becomes a friend of theirs, they still somehow find that belief. And you heard what Brian was talking about, how he persevered. He was the low amateur at the 2015 U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. Played at Illinois, great player, got his Korn Ferry Tour card in 2016, graduated to the PGA Tour after his performance in 2016. On the tour in 2017, lost his card, and then from 18 to 21 went back to the Korn Ferry Tour, actually lost his Korn Ferry Tour card and somehow got it back and then made his way back to the PGA Tour, and here he is now a 2-time winner in 2025. That is belief, that is perseverance. And you talk about battling doubt, also knowing that in this modern era of golf where power is everything.
That's a good point.
He's 174th in distance off the tee. That is more than 50 yards behind the guy who is leading the PGA Tour in average distance, and that's Audric Potgater. And by the way, who did he beat in Mexico? Audric Potgater.
So you have to make the most of your opportunities. For shorter players, there are some golf courses where you can get after it. I'm thinking about Wildlife, the Sony Open. Pebble Beach is not overly long. Hilton Head is a point-to-point golf course. Colonial. So I think it's important that the Tour continue to offer those opportunities so that it is not just simply a bomb and gouge game. We do know at the highest levels, the most meaningful championships, over the long haul, longer hitters will win the most tournaments. But J.J. Spawn won the U.S. Open at Oakmont. He's not short, but he's certainly not in the McIlroy League. But I thought this, it's a great win. And these are guys. Look, these are guys who need it. This can change the course of their lives, their careers. So people look at me funny when I say that for, say, David Lipsky. The John Deere is as big as the Masters was for Rory McIlroy.
I agree. And it's not only like for Brian Campbell, who, by the way, is pretty much a lock. He's had to work very hard not to finish outside the top 50 in the FedEx Cup standings now, which is going to set him up in all the signature events for next year.